I didn't realize that there would be such a big difference in a man serving and a woman serving. So whenever I joined, I was very naive to that entire fact. My first deployment was Shark, Afghanistan. And it was hell 24/7. Always getting shot at, always having missiles fly over our cop, something all the time.
Hey, I'm in town with a pistol.
We really didn't have much downtime, and when we did, we would dream about making it back to Germany and what we would do when we did make it home from the deployment. We had 4 different teams in our platoon. We would rotate. One squad go one day and we would go the next day. Well, this day was our off day, and my squad leader came up to me and was like, hey, we're gonna go on this mission. Basically like a reconnaissance mission where you just go out and check. He was like, but you don't have to go. It's just gonna be a small mission. And I remember telling him, no, if my team's going, then I'm gonna go too. We were on this mission. We came out on Route New York and there was a bazaar. Normally there's, a ton of people in a bazaar because that's where they sell their meats and goods and stuff like that. And it was completely empty. We was in a diagonal formation walking. So I was walking on the left side. I was the second man back. I was coming up on an alley to my left. So I got up and I hugged the building. And I remember seeing some random tires. And I was stepping forward with my right leg. Everything slowed down and paused. And then next thing I know, I was falling to the ground and my ears were ringing. And my first thought was one of my battle buddies was hit. After the explosion went off and I hit the ground, we always carried a tourniquet in our left pants pocket, and I went to reach for it and I came up with nothing but flesh and blood, and it wasn't there anymore. I remember briefly waking up in the Black Hawk. I remember seeing the military medics right there. And I passed out again. I remember briefly waking back up at the Logar province Cop Shank. After that, the next time I woke up was probably in Germany at Longstuhl. Walter Reed was pretty phenomenal when it came to their medical care. I was one of, I think, 2 female veterans out of all the wounded vets there. I remember waking up in the ICU, and my mom and dad got there at the same time. The military flew them out there, and I remember just the look on their face. It was definitely traumatizing, just as traumatizing for them, I believe, as it was for me. Me and my dad was actually in the hospital room, and I was laying in the hospital bed, blown up, beat up from war. At first, I wasn't paying any attention to the news, and he's the one that told me. He said, Kendra, listen to this. Females can finally fight on the front lines.
A historic announcement today on U.S. defense. Women will now be able to serve on the front lines. Defense Secretary Leon Panetta made the announcement today.
And I'm laying there completely blown up. I wonder, well, what was I doing then? Females are just now being recognized for being on the front lines, and what was I doing? I almost felt like what I did wasn't recognized. Whenever you get to leave, they put you into a halfway housing where you live on the base. And there's medical care there if you were to need it, but it's not a hospital room or setting. It's kind of like a big hotel. We did a small transition out of the military, but I definitely was not prepared for what was going to happen next. got out of the military. I lost contact with everyone. I went home and fell into a deep depression and became best friends with my pain meds. I got really addicted to them.
We have a tincture as well. So it's going to be a little more potent than the shot. Instead of doing the shot, you do 1 to 2 of the droppers sublingually underneath.
I went to the VA for help, and instead of helping me, they just took me off of them. So I went to the streets to find pain meds, and I ended up isolating from everyone, and that turned into even a stronger addiction of heroin. You said 1 to 2 drops of this?
It's the dropper. You'll do a full dropper. I would start out with 1 dropper sublingually. You can hold it 1 to 2 minutes under the tongue, and then once you're finished, you can just swallow the excess. But that helps it to get into your bloodstream a bit quicker, so it should help with that pain relief.
Okay, I'll just do 1 of each. I just was headed to prison. The same freedom that I fought for, I was about to lose to this addiction. I used to be a strong soldier, and now I'm in jail as a heroin addict. And I didn't know how to come back from that. I wanted to change, I just didn't know how to change or where to begin. I was in the military and lost my leg at war.
Oh, God bless you and thank you for your service. I'm an Air Force grad.
Are you?
My dad is in the Air Force, retired.
Thank you for his service.
Thank you for yours.
So I'm pretty excited. You know, they're going to gift me this socket. And it's like life-changing, you know.
It is
So.
going to be. You get that today?
Mm-hmm.
Yay, I bet you're so
I
excited.
am super
awesome.
excited.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's like really painful. You know, I haven't walked in years. I wrote my congressman, Jody Heiss. He got a hold of the VA and assigned someone through the VA to help me get into drug court and get into a drug rehab program instead of going to prison. Thank you. Have
We
a good
appreciate
day.
it. Oh, no problem. Have a good one.
When you're in addiction, you don't really care about anything, and you definitely don't want an extra hasslement of having to worry about putting on this prosthetic and staying fit and the pain, and it was new and just I wasn't really mentally present for it. I was just really ready to walk again, so I really didn't care what it felt like or anything. The old socket was so hard. I would sit lopsided, it would hurt your back. Your leg would actually lose feeling in it because it was so hard. It kind of smells like honey. You think half of this? Yeah, half of it. Tastes like herbal tea. And I only did like 3 little drops because I'm scared. So I just slowly never walked again. And this is going to help with the pain of wearing a prosthetic because I haven't worn one since I overcame that addiction of pain medications, and I absolutely refuse to ever take pain medications again. So I've gone to all natural remedies for pain, and I will definitely continue to experiment with them until I find one that works, because I know I will. I have calluses on my hands from using crutches. They're always falling and they're always in the way, and when I get in the vehicle I have to have somewhere to put them. I was actually in Houston. I was like wasting time at the hotel room and ended up doing some research, and you know how the internet, you look up one thing and you end up looking at 10 other things, and I found Martin Bionics, and I remember telling my mom, like, I've got to have one of these sockets. It will change my life. I was actually leaving Houston, and I was saying bye to Valerie, and she asked me what I was up to or what I was going to do now, and I said, oh, I'm about to get a hold of Martin Bionics and reach out to them, write them an email, and see how I get one of these sockets made. And in passing, she was like, well, give me the contact information and I'll write them. And so I did. I didn't really think much about it again.
Welcome back to Great Day. We are back with Sergeant Kendra Garza, who's overcome addiction to pain pills and heroin after losing her leg serving in Afghanistan. Valerie James was homeless at one time after serving in Afghanistan as well. Today, she works with Mental Health America of Greater Houston as a veteran peer services coordinator. We also have amputee advocate Tom Allred, who's lived with prosthetic legs for over 57 years. All right, before the break, I asked, what was your coming to Jesus moment where you had to decide, am I going to live or die?
My coming to Jesus moment was sitting in a jail cell and realizing the same freedom I fought for was now being taken away from me due to this addiction.
And he sat down beside me and I was like, oh, cool. His shirt says Martin Bionics. You know, what's the odds of that happening? You know, I still didn't register that he was there from Martin Bionics.
What would a difference of something like this, like a Martin Bionic prosthetic that you could be comfortable with, that you don't have to necessarily switch back and forth from your crutches, what would that mean in your life?
Oh, it would change my life. It would give me independence back.
Yeah. The tough thing, of course, is that money is an issue on these things. These are
definitely,
not cheap. No. But can you tell her why that she does not have to worry about that money, Tom?
Well,
Oh my God.
yay!
You don't have to be jealous anymore because you are getting a new leg, compliments of Martin Bionics.
Wow. Everybody's excited about this. Everybody was like, don't stress about anything, just focus on the trip. And so I didn't.
I've hit so many blocks this year trying to reach out to try to figure out a way to get more awareness for women veterans, and there was just, they were astounded.
No support at all.
None.
That's like why I get such a crazy look when they find out, like, you know, I'm a female vet that got injured in combat. They're just like, holy sh**.
They're just jealous because they
Like,
don't do
wow,
as
they
much as you.
really do. It's almost like an aha moment for them. Like, wow, they really do serve.
Right, and she must really be strong.
Yeah,
Sure.
because in the military, you're constantly having to prove yourself as a
Always.
woman. You know,
Always.
you're always being compared to the men, and so you have to go above and beyond what's expected of you to make sure you're not looked down upon or, you know,
Or
labeled
looked
as
over.
a weak symbol.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a daily fight.
That's
Or
like your
in a-
one way out.
Right.
I'm really in Oklahoma City about to get this awesome socket made. So it was very surreal. Yeah, it's literally a 3-minute
Starting route
drive.
to 214 East Main Street. Head north on South Lincoln Boulevard, then turn left onto East Sheridan Avenue.
So this is Lincoln. I've waited since about 2015 for a prosthetic. So I'm pretty excited, and I never thought this was possible. I remember just hearing about Martin Bionics, and I started doing some research on the internet about them. And no, I would never ever think that I would really be here right now, sitting in front of Martin Bionics with an appointment to go inside and get a socket. I'm so excited.
Turn right onto North Joe Carter Avenue, then turn left onto East Main Street.
every aspect of my life will change, you know, and the biggest one is I won't have to worry about crutches falling every time I sit down. Because every time I sit down, I have to like worry about where I put my crutches, and then I know they're gonna fall, especially like when you go to a restaurant and they fall and it's so loud every time.
Turn left onto East Main Street. Then the destination is on your left.
And being able to like walk hand in hand with my children, and yeah, I get pretty emotional if I start talking about all that.
The destination is on your left. 214 East Main Street.
There it is.
Arrived.
Get our official parking ticket before we go into Martin's.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Welcome to Martin Bionics. Let's just do a little bit of paperwork just so I can get you in the computer, and then I will round up everybody and let them know that you're here. So we'll just go in this front room and front too. Have a seat there in that comfy chair. Now, are you cold? No, ma'am, because I got the heater. I've moved it up and down a couple of times, so. Oh, we are so excited to have you. Cool. So work on that, and then let me go. I think Jay's upstairs, and everybody's gonna spread out. So let me round them up.
Yeah, we was just sitting in the lobby, and this guy comes walking in, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Jay Martin."
This is Amy and Sierra.
Hi, how are y'all?
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm Kendra.
We've actually met a really long time ago.
Yeah.
I shaped your leg one day. I shaped your butt cheek.
Oh,
specifically.
Yes, I remember you. That's right.
Savage?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
You ready to get started? We can always set this to the side and then we'll come back to it.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
real
that's
quick,
fine.
when's the last time that you have worn anything? Like
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
I just instantly like got tears in my eyes when I was shaking his hand. It was just real emotional and overwhelming to meet someone else that's made this whole thing come together.
Okay. How did you spray alcohol over this whole thing and then kind of slide into it?
Yeah.
Who made this last socket for you?
Hager.
Okay.
Hager in Athens, Georgia.
Okay. Great.
So we have this saying here at Martin Bionics is that we build lives, not sockets. And that is core to our DNA as a company.
The swing broom is an amazing design, but it's not incorporated correctly here. It's actually completely wrong. But that can be a really helpful element of making at least the brim a lot more comfortable.
As As a clinical practitioner in prosthetics, I realized that many of my patients' functional abilities were limited not as much by their amputation as by the lack of technology in the field. Conventional prosthetic sockets are static, they're hot, they're rigid, they're heavy, and can be very uncomfortable for many users. So in creating the socketless socket technology, we're able to create a technology that is more conforming, more comfortable.
The complexity of Kendra's injury makes fitting her prosthetically very difficult. Her limb is very short. She has a large muscle belly to the front. She has a scar line right where a traditional suction socket would need to seal to maintain suspension. The process for making Kendra's socket started just as any other prosthetic process would. We start with a cast of the residual limb. So we have the perfect mold of her limb shape and how it sits on her body in space. And that gives us a good place to start.
We got good suspension. There it goes. Okay, have a seat. It takes us a little bit to get going, so probably about 2:30. Sound good? So you're free to whatever you want to do until about 2:30. Do you want to leave the liner on? You want to take it off and leave it here?
I want to leave it on.
Does it feel good to just have pressure on it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, go for it.
It's a whole new process. All right, we shall return. As an amputee, I had accepted the reality that I would live every day for the rest of my life uncomfortable and in pain. You know, I absolutely loved my X3, my microprocessor knee, but the socket was a completely different story. Thank you for letting me use your shoes.
Hey, whatever, no problem.
They fit good? Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. In a rigid socket, something as simple as tying your shoes is not possible. Something that simple before the socket would cut into my growing area. Just doing your everyday task was so challenging. For one, if you sweat, you lose suction. You have to go to the bathroom, take everything off, pull out your bottle of alcohol, put your liner on, spray it down, push back into it. Now all I have to do is snap a couple ratchets and it becomes tighter around my limb. So it completely eliminates adding plies, the socks, the alcohol spray, all of that.
Yeah, the box is kind of bunching.
Do you want to take a couple steps? Stay in those bars.
One thing that patients always let me know is that how important it is to stand up and look someone in the eye, and being able just to give someone back that basic right is huge, and it means so much to me.
So other than it being just a little tall,
It feels really good.
it's a pretty good start.
Yeah, it's a very good start.
Yeah.
With the socketless socket technology, we can get higher and tighter than she's ever had a socket fit before, so she can have greater stability.
Have a seat and let's take it off. And then we'll figure out how much tall we are a little bit too. It's probably the best first check socket you've ever had.
It is.
How does it feel sitting?
It's so much more comfortable than the...
Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna change a couple of things on the back.
Before we take it off, can you bend forward?
Yes.
You bend further?
That is crazy. This right here is like such a big deal. Like you wouldn't be able to do this in a regular socket. I've never worn a Martin Bionic socket. So I had expectations of what it was like to walk in a rigid socket. Yeah.
Too tight? Does it want to pop you out of there? There you go. Maybe you can feel like you're in it straight again. Is this still wanting to bow back here?
Yeah, it's like buckling a little bit.
I was expecting to have like pressure points where it was uncomfortable, especially, really high up.
When I first heard that I was gonna get to work with Kendra, I was excited and nervous at the same time. But with this socketless socket system, we were able to fit her so quickly and so comfortably. And with everything that she's been through, she was just so appreciative to have those basic rights back of being able to stand up and walk unassisted. Let me reinforce it just so we make sure it feels more like the carbon's gonna feel, because the carbon's not gonna have that give to it. So I'll reinforce it between tonight, and that way first thing in the morning, it'll be ready to go.
Okay.
Sound like a plan?
Yes.
Yep.
Today's the day.
It is.
I'm so excited. Super excited.
Elevator door?
Hi, you heard something to me. Didn't you? I think I said amazing. Your first picture was amazing.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
There it is. Here it is. All right, I gotta take these blue jeans off.
That's okay. You're all the way in.
So whenever I first stood up in the socket, it was kind of like, okay, you know, just like, I can't really even explain it because it was so comfortable.
I know, I'm gonna cry.
Do it. You do it. You can cry all you
It's
want.
been like years since I walked.
It's okay. It's okay. Come here. Oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you all so much.
You've had a journey for sure.
I am standing for like female veterans, you know, and representing female veterans to show everybody like, hey, female veterans are out there kicking just as much ass as males, doing the same exact thing, plus holding a house down, doing all the responsibilities of a mom. I mean, there's some hardcore females out there. I always competed with the males, like to make it known that I was just as good as them. You know, if they did 85 push-ups, I would do 86. You know, just to, stand up, stand out, matter, I guess.
I went to boot camp in 2008, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. It was very challenging, but that's when a lot of personal growth happened, because before then I was in this small town. That's all I knew, those people. So whenever I did join the military, and I, actually made it past a lot of limits that I had mentally set for myself. The energy was basically that, like, the women wasn't included in competitions, not physically, just mentally, so the men wasn't concerned about these females at all. It was different. We was out on a cop and there was only 4 females.
Oh, this walks off.
I live in the country. The ground is not even.
When I wear boots, I need my heel to be tilted like this, my foot, And so I wore boots to the rodeo last weekend, and I changed the way my foot was adjusted, and now I'm trying to get it back. Dustin! Y'all want to walk down to the lake with me?
Yes, ma'am.
One thing I've realized about the socket is even when you're walking on uneven ground, it gives way. And so whenever I do walk over a bump, it keeps me secure. And I know that I can just continue on going forward. It's gonna be fine.
Not with mine, because she's gonna jump it up a lot. There's that baby. Come on, Snuffy. Whoever they come up there. Just scoop it out there.
They say partners for life whenever a male and female meet. They're together for life, yeah.
Now that I'm walking, especially in this Martin Bionic socket, some future goals I have is leading by example and really showing other amputees, especially veterans, that there is a better option out there.
Boat ramp.
I know a lot of vets are very active, and this fits right in.
And to everyone that has came together, I can't even begin to express my gratitude. Austin, will you go grab my flag your daddy had made for me off the desk? This experience has changed my life. Now I see a bright future.
Thank you. I know, it's Kendra.
So I definitely want to say thank you to Martin Bionics, to the team out in Houston, to the women veterans who have all came together to make this possible.